I thought one of the strongest takeaways was Amazon making a business decision that it was going to be transparent and show the cost of the tariff as an increase to any of the prices that are going up on its site. And Caroline said she had just spoken to the president, and that the president and her, this is coming from the White House, that this decision by Amazon was a hostile and political act. We know that the president and Jeff Bezos have become closer.
They're going to show the prices on the
But I do think
website.
business people are making business decisions, and this 100 days is most important on the economy. Madeline Rivera has been at the White House for us, and she has more as we check in with her this morning. Hi, Maddie.
Hi, guys. Hi, good morning, Bill and Dana. So the administration is looking to reshape its message on the economy, and it comes as polls show a majority of voters still remain gloomy about the issue. But you hear Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent saying in the briefing today that their economic initiatives will take time, especially when it comes to tariffs, trade, tax, and deregulation. Nevertheless, the White House is out with a new memo this morning mentioning what they say are their wins, and that includes prices dropping. It includes a rise in jobs in the private sector and private investment. Here's what White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt had to say this morning. Let's listen.
At this point, President Trump has secured more investments in the United States of America in 100 days than Joe Biden did in 4 years. President Trump is America's businessman in chief, and that's why these trillions of dollars in investments are flooding to our country.
And tariffs, of course, is the other main topic. Bessent answered some of those questions in this briefing this morning, and some quick highlights. He repeated the tariffs on China are not sustainable. It's also unclear at this point if the president has spoken to Chinese President Xi Jinping about tariffs. Bessent didn't give quite a definitive answer on that. It appears, though, the administration is getting ready to soften some of the tariffs on cars. The Wall Street Journal reports that 25% tariffs on foreign-made cars and parts will remain in effect, but the automakers won't have to pay other duties like those on steel and aluminum, and they'll also be reimbursed for some of the tariffs on imported auto parts. That levy is supposed to take effect on Saturday. A senior administration official says they are doing this because the administration has made good faith efforts to bring manufacturing back to the U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says this deal is a major victory for the president's trade policy by rewarding companies who manufacture domestically while providing runway to manufacturers who have expressed their commitment to invest in America and expand their domestic manufacturing. Speaking about those polls, 38% of voters approve the way the president has handled the issue. 33% approve of his moves on tariffs. 59% disapprove. And today, the president will be heading to Michigan. We expect him to talk more about those car tariffs when he heads to that visit. Bill and Dana, back to you.
Maddie, thank you so much. Great to have you wrap that up for us.
I want to bring in Maria B. for the top headline for her this morning. Good morning to you.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you, and than's for being here. A couple of things from our Fox polling about a week ago. The soft numbers for the first 100 days were all based on the economy across the board. Here, call for one. Here, however, it's a sign of good news, right? It's inflation. It's lowering. In December is at 3%. You're down at 2.4% for the month of March. We've been listening now for the half hour plus. What's your takeaway, Maria?
Well, look, Bill and Dana, I think there's no other way to look at this first 100 days other than a huge success. I mean, I know what you're talking about in terms of the polling and the approval rating, but look at the president's two top issues: immigration and inflation. Border crossings are down 99%. I spoke with President Trump on Sunday. He told me 3 people were apprehended at the border in the month of April, compared with 248,000 in the month last year, 1 year ago. That's the migration and immigration story. Now let's take a look at inflation. You and I talked about eggs a long time ago. The price of eggs are down 50%. Look at where mortgage rates are down. Look at oil prices are down. So when you take a look at what President Trump said that he was going to do, it is a huge success in terms of these first 100 days. Has it been volatile in terms of the stock market's reaction? Absolutely. Markets are down since Inauguration Day, and that's because we've had a lot of uncertainty. When I interviewed President Trump last month, the one issue that I focused on was clarity, clarity, clarity. I said, Mr. President, business needs clarity. They have to talk to shareholders. They have to make their investment plans for the year ahead. They need clarity. He said, well, tariffs may go up. They may go up. They're not going to go down. I said to him, that's not clarity. That issue is front and center and has been front and center ever since. It's about clarity. The business community, the stock market, investors, they all want specifics. They can't have specifics yet because they're in the middle of this. We're in it. They're talking. You just heard Scott Bessent. He said they're talking to 18 important trading relationships, 17 of which are right now front and center. So we will get specifics on these deals. It sounded from that press conference that we're going to get a deal on India very soon. South Korea, Japan, soon after. But look, when you're taking a look at the next 100 days, and that comes, in August, it's about the Senate. It's about the tax extensions. The president will go to Saudi Arabia. By the way, talking about foreigners, $5 trillion in new money, investment from governments as well as corporations invested in America since President Trump was inaugurated. These are huge numbers. So you can talk about all of the criticism from the Democrats sitting on the steps of the Capitol all day long. You can talk about the volatility in the stock market, but one has to go back to the actual promises made and the promises kept and what this has meant for the American people.
What did you think of the Amazon decision on the tariff in terms of clarity? And Caroline Leavitt saying that the president sees it as a hostile and political act to say that the price increases that they are facing would be due to the tariffs.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's hostile or not. I will say that there was no mention whatsoever at Amazon about Joe Biden's inflation. And the fact is that we got to 40-year highs. Inflation measured by the Consumer Price Index was up 9.1%. We all remember we were at the cash register. Everything cost so much more. So, why they're putting a little bug now, this is because of the tariffs, and they didn't put a little bug, this is because of the $7 trillion spent by the Democrats under Joe Biden, is a question.
Yeah.
I think Ed Lawrence, we were both sitting here, we thought he nailed the question. He said, how long do you think the runway is, basically to paraphrase? How long is the runway before it really has an economic impact on the tariff situation? And Bessent said a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a month or if that's 2 to 4 weeks from now. But if they can get a major headline and nail it down, that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
It would have been, I know that they wanted to do that today. But the USMCA with Mexico, Canada, and the U.S., from the moment it was announced to the moment it was signed and implemented, took 2 years.
Yeah. Well, look, companies are responding. I mean, today on Mornings with Maria, I had on the CEO of Merck. Merck is the pharmaceutical giant behind so many important cancer drugs like Keytruda. They are breaking ground today on a new facility in Wilmington, Delaware, to produce drugs in America. So, they produce lots of that cancer drug right now in Ireland. They're going to move a lot of that production here.
That's that supply chain.
But, you just mentioned the uncertainty. I mean, the automakers have withdrawn their guidance. I was supposed to speak today with the CEO of General Motors, Mary Barra. She's moved it to Thursday, so we'll have her on Thursday because these auto parts tariffs are important. The president is expected to make an important move and actually ease off on some of those auto tariffs. But what did GM do today when they reported a very good quarter in earnings? They said, disregard the guidance for 2025 that we gave you already. We're going to come out with new guidance after we hear from President Trump.
Back to your point about clarity.
Correct. Clarity. Most important.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.